May the triple them bless you. We are from Heladeepa Tv. Today we are going to have a discussion with famous meditation practitioner who is in Sri Lanka, who has come from USA, Upali Thero. Now we can have today very nice and very valuable discussion with him on especially about the meditation as well as the metta and covering all the Buddhist most important principles. Okay, shall we start the interview? Now he has come to Sri Lanka for a long period ago. Now Bante Upali Thero with us. Revan sir.
Do you want namaskar?
Yeah.
So it's customary to begin a Dharma talk with homage to the Buddha Dhamma Sangha. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Itipiso bhagava arahan samma sambuddho vijjacharana sampanno sugato lokavidu anuttaro purisa dhamma sarati sattha deva manusana buddho bhagavati swakato bhagavata dhammo sanditiko akaliko ehipasiko opanayiko panchattang veditambo vinyuhiti Supatipanno bhagavato savaka sankho uchupatipanno bhagavato savaka sankho nyaya patipanno bhagavato savaka sankho samichi patipanno bhagavato savaka sankho yadidang sattari purisa yugan hiyatta purisa puggala esa bhagavato savaka sankho ahuneyo pahuneyo dakineyo anjalikaraniyo anuttarang punyakkatang lokasati.
Sad, sad. May the triple bless you, Revan sir.
May you
so,
be happy.
First of all, I would like to ask very few questions, and would you please, you may introduce in nutshell about you and your name, and you have been in Sri Lanka for a long period. In nutshell, we like to have that.
In a nutshell,
yeah.
I am Sacramento Upatissa, which in Sri Lanka it is the custom for a monk to take the name of his hometown or village. So I took Sacramento since I'm from California. I came to Sri Lanka in March of 2001 and have only left a couple of times briefly. So I've been here pretty much continuously since 2005. And having been here for
19 years?
19 years, I still don't speak Sinhala.
Anyway, then I would like to ask, what made you to be a monk or Buddhist monk?
Okay, first of all, why am I a Buddhist?
Yeah.
When I was 12 years old, in the 6th grade, which was after World War II, Japan was now a ally of the United States. And so in my classroom, there were some pamphlets on Japanese culture, like flower arrangement and martial arts and poetry and whatnot. And all of these pamphlets mentioned something called Zen Buddhism.
They were practicing Zen Buddhism?
No, they just mentioned it. They just mentioned something called Zen Buddhism. So that made me interested. When I was in high school, Zen Buddhism was popular to be talked about.
That means popular among the young American people?
Young, high school kids. We were all high school. And then one day in 1966, I was walking down the street in San Francisco where I was living at the time, and some Japanese ladies invited me to a Buddhist discussion meeting. So I went, and it turns out that was proselytizing Nichiren Buddhism.
It's one sect of Buddhism.
One sect of Mahayana Buddhism, the Northern Buddhism. And they don't meditate, they chant.
Yeah.
But I practiced that very strongly and had some nice experiences. Then later on, I practiced Christianity, or tried to, in a marriage. That marriage broke up. And then I went back to the Nichiren Buddhism again and chanting. And then finally, in my mid-40s, I started practicing Zen, Zen is just a meditation Buddhism. Mm-hmm. So I met a gentleman at work named Harsha Jayatilaka, mm-hmm. who I invited to he's from Sri Lanka, of course, and I invited him to my Zen meditation group. We met once a week, mm-hmm. and he invited me to his temple. So that's
that is in Los Angeles.
No, this is actually in Santa Clara. It's in Silicon Valley. He was an engineer at the same company I was working. And that's how I met Theravada Buddhism. Mm. So anyway, to make a long story short, one day I'm driving to work and it occurred to me that I could become a monk because I've been divorced for decades and my kids were grown, so I had nothing to hold me back. Mm-hmm. So I retired I didn't retire, I quit and became a monk. Mm. And I figured if I didn't like it, I could always disrobe. Mm-hmm. So I became a monk, and I discovered, I liked being a monk, so I'm still a monk.
And why were you so interested in becoming a monk?
Because you see, Westerners, if they're serious about Buddhism, we all entertain these romantic ideas about the monk's life. Uh-huh. Monks live in caves and they say wonderful and wild things and very wise, and I want to live in a cave and be wonderful and wise and whatnot. And it turns out that living in a cave is very uncomfortable. So I'm a temple monk, not a cave
After
monk.
that, did you learn that the Buddha's teaching that remark, come and see?
Well,
that part, how do you explain that?
Yeah, okay.
How it was inspired you?
When I was 16 and when I was in high school, and I realized that Christianity was always talking about faith.
Yes.
Come and believe. And in Buddhism, in the Nichiren Buddhism, they called it actual proof of the power of the teaching. Yeah. And I find that in the Buddhist teaching, the Buddha, I recited this at the beginning. One of the noble qualities of the teaching of the Buddha is it invites inspection. That means
come and see.
Come and see for yourself. If it works for you, then you can embrace it. But it doesn't, then forget it. So that aspect, you see, and the fact that aspect attracted me to both Hinduism and Buddhism, because both of them are come and see in this life, not after you die, but in this life now. But Buddhism doesn't have the God concept. Yeah. So whereas Hinduism, a lot of God worship and stuff like that. So that's what I was kind of atheistic. I didn't believe in God, so I became a Buddhist.
I see.
So that's why.
That's right. And you have selected Sri Lanka to practice Buddhism. Is there any special reason to select the Sri Lanka?
Okay, don't laugh, but I selected Sri Lanka because it's not Japan. Mm-hmm. So I was practicing a Japanese Buddhism, okay, and practicing Zen. Mm-hmm. So I thought I could become a Zen monk, and then I thought, well, wait a minute. To be a Zen monk, you have to stand outside the temple for 3 days to prove your sincerity. And then they allow you inside and you pound rice for the next 9 months as part of your Zen training. Mm-hmm. And I thought, I'm 53 years old. I'm too old for that. I'm 57 at the time.
How do you feel?
I'm too old for that. So I came
How do you feel that Sri Lankan people supporting for the practice in your process?
Why did I come to Sri Lanka? Well, it's because, like I said, it wasn't Japan, and because I thought Sri Lanka would be more Western. Mm-hmm. And so the other reason is Sri Lanka is a 100% Buddhist country. Well, it's a Buddhist country, so to see someone wearing robes and walking down the street is not something strange. One gets support, so I have plenty of support here as a monk. So why am I a monk? It's because, the whole purpose of the monk's life is they call it to attain Nibbana. To me, that's it's pretty nirvana, that's a pretty lofty goal, but
that will take long time to achieve that.
Well,
before that, there are so many things we can achieve.
Yeah, there's so many things, and the purpose of the practice of Buddhism is for the spiritual awakening. Spiritual awakening. As a matter of fact, the word Buddha literally means awakened one. Not a sleeping, he's awake.
Awake.
So what does awake mean? Well, I don't know. It just means not asleep.
Yeah.
You can see things as they really are. So, I could go on and on about that, but Sri Lanka supports a person who is attempting to awaken through the Buddhist path.
Okay.
That's why I'm here.
And as you have been practicing Buddhism in Sri Lanka for a long period, and you have been meditating for a long period, and what are the main principles of Buddhism that, according to your knowledge, and
first of all, I want to correct you. When you say Buddhism, you are thinking of Theravada Buddhism.
No, I mean that the Theravada.
Yeah, okay. Well, I just want to clarify that there are 3 types of Buddhism in the world. There's Mahayana, which has 10 major sects, and there's the Tibetan Buddhism, the Vajrayana, and then there's Theravada, the way of the old elders, which is the Buddhism of Sri Lanka, Burma, Cambodia, and Kampuchea.
Yeah.
So we call ourselves Theravada, which is the way of the elders. Of course, the Mahayanas call themselves Mahayana, the greater vehicle, and so therefore we are the lesser vehicle, Hinayana. So what is the basic thing about Theravada Buddhism, Buddhist teachings?
Yeah.
And it can be summarized in the 4 Noble Truths.
Yeah.
Okay. And which are suffering, cause of suffering, end of suffering, and the way to the end. The Buddha spoke of these 4 Noble Truths. He talked about his teaching in the metaphor of an Ayurvedic diagnosis. Is the person sick?
Yeah.
And if there is an illness, can it be cured? There's no point in having a treatment if there's no cure.
Yeah.
And
there should be a way to cure it.
So yes, it can be cured, and there is a way to cure it.
Yeah.
There's a treatment. So likewise, in Buddhism, the first noble truth is there is suffering.
Yeah.
Suffering. And what is suffering? There's mental and physical. The Buddha says in the Turning of the Wheel Sutra, discourse, he says that suffering is getting what you don't want, or not getting what you do want, or being separated from the loved, or joined with the unloved. And in short, this whole life is suffering. Well, people say, wait a minute, I'm eating ice cream, it's not suffering. And I say, well, if you have a stomachache afterwards, it is. Or if you want ice cream and you can't have it, it's suffering. Or if you're disappointed, or frustrated, or angry, or sick, or your mother dies, or your mother doesn't die, but she's sick and you're worried. All this is suffering. And what you have, you don't want to lose. And try to hang on to. So, all these are suffering. Okay, and what's the cause of the suffering? The Buddha says the cause of this suffering is grabbing onto it. Grabbing it. Tanha. Literally, tanha comes from Sanskrit trishna, meaning thirst. Thirst. Being thirsty. So then, but this happy life, this release, this enlightenment can be achieved. And the way to achieve it is through the Noble Eightfold Path. So
this is the way to achieve the goal of that.
Yes, sir. So the Buddha said that suffering is to be understood. Okay. He said also that the cause of suffering is to be abandoned. Let go of what you're grabbing onto. And he says the end of suffering is to be realized. Not after you die, but here. We're here to find it out now. And finally, the way to realize the end of the suffering is through this Noble Eightfold Path, which is right view, right intention, right speech, right action, right livelihood, right effort, right mindfulness, and right concentration or samadhi, which we can divide into 3 parts.
Sila.
Sila, samadhi, panya. Sila meaning right, good behavior.
Yeah.
Behavior that does not hurt yourself
Yeah.
or hurt others.
Yeah, for others also. That.
Yeah. So some people call that morality.
Yeah.
Okay. Samadhi is short for the meditative practices, the things that change one's mind. You know, there's a collection of verses called the Dhammapada, and the very first verse in the Dhammapada talks about how a person having an unskilled mind causes unhappiness to enter their life, and having a skilled mind, unhappiness disappears. So that's the samadhi part, is learning to control, training the mind.
Mind.
Okay. So
And the third one is prajna, the wisdom.
Yes. Well, that's when we awaken.
Yeah.
That's when you say, "Oh, now I get it." Yeah, that's not such a good thing to do. You know.
Yeah.
So that's, in a way, it's wisdom. Yeah.
That's wisdom.
But the wisdom part is, you can divide it into three. It's one of the right views, way of looking at right view, is to see that suffering, impermanence, and non-self.
Yeah.
Okay.
That means in Pali terms, anitya dukkha anattma.
Right, but this is kind of deep.
Yeah.
And then right intention means have a mind of non-harming, a mind of non-affliction, and a mind of releasing, letting go.
These are the main principles of the Buddha's teaching.
Of wisdom, yeah.
I see. Then would you please explain something about meditation in nutshell and very simple way for the beginners, I mean.
Okay, for the beginners. Very simple way.
Yeah.
Meditation. What is meditation?
Yeah.
All right. In short, meditation is an activity of the mind.
Yeah.
Okay. I won't even say it's thinking in a particular way. That's what I used to say. Now I'm just saying meditation is an activity of the mind. Just like exercise is an activity of the body. So, is there one right exercise for everybody? No.
People use various kinds of...
Yeah, like jogging or pumping iron, lifting weights, or running on a treadmill, or playing a very interesting game, or calisthenics, or whatever. So all these are exercise, but there's no one right exercise. So likewise, what is meditation? Well, it can be all kinds of things. It can be...
that means the people who are interested, then they can select any way, one way or two way to achieve the goal.
Go on Google
and
search for types of meditation. About the third one down, you're going to third or fifth hit, you'll have a page that has 24 different types of meditation.
Yeah.
Will the real good meditation now stand up so we all know what is the right meditation? I don't think so. What is very popular now in the West is something called mindfulness.
Nice.
Well, that's sati, what they call sati, one of the...
We can discuss the next session.
Okay. So, but there's other meditations besides sati.
To end this program, shall we have 5-minute session for meditation? So you may explain about Anapanasati Bhavana in simple way in English, and the people can understand, and after that we can do 5 minutes meditation here also.
Okay, I hear your question, and I don't want to talk about Anapanasati as such at first. Right now, what is popular in the West is something called mindfulness. Mindfulness is merely paying attention to the present moment. To the present moment. As a matter of fact, that is the official definition in psychology. Non-judgmental attention to the present moment. But 30 years ago, meditation meant a certain kind of mantra meditation, which meant repeating a magical word over and over and over again.
Repeating the same word
in your mind, yes. Thus causing the mind to quiet down. And 50 years before that, it was Norman Vincent Peale, The Power of Positive Thinking. He wrote a big, very famous book about that. So, what is the right meditation? Well, nowadays the meditation is, what's popular is mindfulness.
Mindfulness.
Mindfulness, or sati,
Yeah.
the Pali word, or in the Noble Truth, samma sati, mindfulness. It means pay attention to the present moment. Now, you are talking about mindfulness of the breath.
Yeah.
If you're going to be mindful, what is a good object to pay attention to? Well, there's so many things around that we can look at and start thinking about, and our mind will run off and think of a flower, then you think of your flower garden, then you think of the fact that you used to work in the flower garden with your husband, and now your husband is dead, and we used to go to this restaurant, and next thing you know, your mind is all over the place. So it's hard to bring your mind to settle down. So one thing about the breath is, it's always here. As long as we're alive, there's breathing going on. So we can simply notice the breathing. So how does
In and
one,
out breathing.
Exactly. So how does one notice the breathing? Well, you can observe that when you inhale, your belly rises, and when you exhale, it falls. Most people never even think about that. Or you can notice that you feel a sensation in the nostrils or in the nasal passages. Or some people can feel the breath on their upper lip. Some people visualize the breath coming in, like rushing in like a river, and rushing like the tide coming in and the tide going out. Still other people count their breaths. They breathe in, breathe out, count 1, count up to 10 and start over, count to 5, count to 4. Some people just count 1. One, okay? So all this is to bring the mind to one point. So we're just being aware of the breath. Now, what beginners, the mistake that beginners make, there's 2 mistakes they make. The first mistake is they notice that the mind will not stay on the breath. That is normal.
That's the normal nature of the mind.
That is. It's normal. So when we notice the mind wandering, we just notice, now I'm wandering. Oh well, back to the breath.
Back to the breath.
We don't criticize ourselves.
We don't force the things to...
we don't criticize ourselves. We don't get disappointed. We don't say, I can't do this. We just come back to the breath. And we'll do that for about 5 minutes. Now the other mistake that beginners make is, after meditating the first time, they feel some tremendous feeling, some feeling they've never felt before. Like they're floating or something. Sometimes this happens, not always. And then the next time they meditate, they don't get that feeling. And they think, oh my goodness, I'm doing something wrong. No. All kinds of things happen when we're meditating. The point is just keep coming back to the breath. And in this way we learn to keep the mind on one point. And later on we can talk about the benefits of doing this and so on.
Shall we go 5 minutes? 20
Sure. So let's practice mindfulness of breathing. So to start, sit you don't have to even sit. You can be lying down, although don't fall asleep. We're trying to fall awake here. So take a few very deep breaths. Overfill the lungs and then try to blow all the air out. And notice how the body just naturally begins to relax when we do this. And now just breathe normally. And bring your attention to the breath. At the belly or nostrils or lip. Wherever the breath is most prominent for you. When the mind wanders, just gently bring it back to the breath. Very simple, very easy. Simply be here with the breath. As thoughts play across the mind, you may find your body tightens up slightly. So just relax and watch the next breath. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu. So we'll bring this meditation to a close. When we exit a meditation, it's a good idea to take your time coming out of it. You don't just jump out of bed in the morning. Most people will lie there for a moment or two and kind of collect themselves before getting up. And that's the same thing with meditation.
Okay, Aaron, sir. Thank you very much for discussing with us something Buddhism in nutshell. So may the Triple bless you.
Thank you. May you be well, happy, and peaceful.